The Curse Beneath the Hill of Silence. The wind hissed through the tall grass like a serpent in the night, and the iron gates of St. Damaris Secondary School groaned open with the sigh of a place long forgotten by joy. The school was perched on a hill known by locals as Melina Wakimia, the Hill of Silence, for nothing grew on its summit but the ancient stones of the school, and birds never nested in its trees. When the school reopened after being shut down for nearly 15 years, it was said that the Ministry of Education had revamped it. They rebuilt the dormitories, repaired the classrooms, and painted over the old walls, but no one dared to touch the West Wing, an old ivy-choked section locked with rusted chains and marked with a faded red cross. The new headmaster, Mr. Wakesa, claimed it was unsafe due to structural damage, but the locals whispered a different story. That long ago, during a cholera outbreak, dozens of students had died there. Their bodies were buried hastily beneath the floorboards. Their souls were never laid to rest. The students, mostly scholarship kids from far-flung villages, didn't know about the legends. Not at first. Not until the first week. It began with the mirrors. Every mirror in the girls' dormitory fogged over at night, even when there was no water, no humidity, no breath. At first, it was dismissed as poor plumbing, but one girl, Agnes, swore she saw her reflection blink long after she had turned away. Then the dreams began. Students across both dormitories began waking up screaming, soaked in sweat, whispering things they could not remember by morning. Some wrote symbols in their sleep, strange spirals and runes, carved into their desks with fingernails or scratched into the walls with chalk that had never been there before. Sandra, a tall, sharp-minded girl with a natural instinct for sensing danger, felt it first. She had always had dreams that felt more like warnings. When she dreamed of fire, someone's house burned. When she dreamed of water, someone drowned. But nothing prepared her for the nightmare she had at St. Damaris. In her first dream, she stood in a corridor of blood. The walls pulsed like living flesh, and hands reached out from the floors, trying to grab her ankles. She ran, and behind her, a voice like cracked glass whispered, "Bring us 5, or we shall take all." When she awoke, her bed was soaked in mud, and her roommate, Lynette, was standing at the window, murmuring in an old dialect from the 1800s. When Sandra called out, Lynette turned slowly, eyes completely white, lips trembling as she said, "The soil remembers. The dead are hungry." Lynette collapsed. She had no memory of anything. Things got worse. Every night at exactly 2:03 a.m., the school bells rang, though they had been disconnected. Every morning, more students reported hearing footsteps in the attic or scratching behind a blackboard. Sometimes students would enter the bathrooms and return hours later, claiming only minutes had passed. One day, a boy named Tuma went missing during night prep. They found his shoes on the roof of the abandoned West Wing. Nothing else. No footprints, no blood. Just his shoes, neatly placed side by side, as if he had simply stepped out of them and vanished into thin air. When the teachers tried to organize a search party, the groundsman, an old man named Mzee Wanyama, refused to help. "I buried them once," he muttered, eyes wild. "I won't do it again." It was then that Sandra, together with Lynette and 2 others, Brian and Evelyn, the top students in Form 4, decided to investigate. They broke into the West Wing one stormy Friday evening, armed with flashlights, salt, and a Bible. Inside, the air was colder than ice. The walls dripped with a black liquid that smelled of decay and burnt flesh. As they stepped through the darkness, their lights flickered, and they began to hear singing. Children's voices, a nursery rhyme that none of them recognized, but all of them could suddenly understand. 5 must bleed and 5 must fall, or blood will flood through every hall. They buried us and shut the gate, but we still whisper, we still wait. The Groot found a staircase leading underground, a secret chamber never listed on any school blueprint. There, in the flickering candlelight of their dying torches, they found the truth. An altar made of student bones.